Start that off from the top. Sometimes you unlearn.
Sometimes you can unlearn in relationships where I had an ex that would convince me he was so correct in so many things. And we have these arguments that he was actually dumbing me down. So what I learned in that relationship, if we're going to try to say it was learning something, was you don't actually learn from everybody. And some people just bring you down. And what you have to realize in a lot of situations is when somebody is just not for you and they're not bringing you up and you're never going to learn anything from them. And in fact, what's happening is they're making you a worse person, a worse off person.
Yeah.
Dimming your light.
Yeah. Dimming your light, actually taking what you know to be facts and actually making you question what you know to be true.
Their own traumas.
Not even gaslighting. Some people are just so unintelligent. You know, they come across as intelligent in the beginning, but then over time, like with my ex, like he would be like, "You're wrong. This, that. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." And I would start questioning my own intelligence, and then I would have to like look up things I knew, and I'm like, "Why am I looking up this shit? I know I'm right. What the hell am I doing?" And you know, after a while, it was like, "What?" It was ridiculous. But I think going back to what a lot of things we talk about, women choosing to be alone, is it's slim pickings out here. And this is when we kind of just go back to being alone is the most peaceful thing an intelligent, strong woman who can take care of herself can do, is because
if you could be alone.
Being alone
it's important to be alone with yourself first before you try to make
you have to be happy
with someone else.
You have to be happy alone
100%.
Because then even if you end up with somebody,
it's just a
say you're unhappy but you meet somebody and now you're so happy you met the person, you're dependent on that person for happiness and you're scared to death of losing them, and that causes jealousy and insecurity and all these other things. But if you're happy and content alone and then you meet somebody that just adds to that happiness, that's when you get somebody, you're not jealous, you're not insecure. That just like, you know, like if this works out, great. I hope it does. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. But if it doesn't, I'm going to be okay if it does. And I don't prefer that
part.
But I'm going to be okay. And if you're not in that space, you're going to have a bunch of needy relationships that are, you know, toxic and But my point is,
it's like people just stay together just
back to his
because.
point, you can unlearn.
No, not at all. But I don't need you to make me happy. I need you not to steal my joy. I need you not to dilute my happiness.
You say that louder.
I need you not to steal my joy. I need you to come to me as my whole self, my happy self, and bring me more joy. Add more peace to that. Don't say, I can't rely on you to make me happy, because what if you having a bad day and you just can't give me that 80%? I have to be able to feel that in myself. So no, I don't need you to make me happy. But what I do need you to do is to be my peace. When I'm not my 100%, add that 20. You know what I mean? That's what I need. I need a compliment. I need a partner, not someone who's going to do it all for me. No, you might want it. You don't. That's the thing.
What women's toys can do is
y'all men. Y'all keep going
way
there.
better than what anything can do.
Y'all egos. I might just need the D. No, because... No, what?
Toys can do things.
No, if that's the case, I could go get a vibrator, honey. We don't need the D.
Vibrators are way
I can make myself
better.
get to a climax without you humping and pumping and trying to think you doing it. Because no,
without veins,
no, right?
No, yeah, the vibrators are far
veins,
superior
without feeling.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the whole point is if I
feeling a connection.
So if I need the D,
there's veins in the
if
toys.
I need the D is for pleasure. You feel me?
What about the connection?
There's veins
The
in the
connection
toys.
is different. Now that's relationship. That's something different.
Right.
No, he said the D.
No, the D.
No, you gotta be specific. He said the D. If you just need the D, that means I need a nut.
The
so
human anatomy.
You can fuck me up here.
Thank you. Mentally.
And your dick does not work.
No,
it's
mentally.
sapiosexual.
Like,
Nisha, I'm glad you're not on the mic.
Pansexual is like.
Don't even explain it.
Okay. Okay.
It does.
We admire you. We admire you. We respect and
don't even go
appreciate
there.
you. Yeah.
Well,
No, so sapiosexual just means that the most important thing that turns me on is intelligence.
Yes. 100%. I'm a Gemini.
That's why I won't
Entice me
unlearn some
mentally.
shit. That's why when my ex was doing that, I was out.
I would say this
like,
about that whole
no.
situation that you did have. I think the beautiful thing in it is that you were open-minded to accept a challenge. And that's important because we marry our ideas and we marry our beliefs and we hold them tight and we hold them as facts. And oftentimes those are not right. And that's a part of the growing process, right? So sometimes it takes for us to argue or fight or debate our ideologies with our partner for
I was willing to listen until it just got to the point where I'm like, "You're always wrong. No, I'm always right. No, this is ridiculous."
But it came to a point, right, where you had to be like, "Wait, hold on. Let me actually double check my work," which is important because you need to. Because sometimes when you double check your work, you'll find out that there was errors in your thoughts, right? But a lot of times and I think like even myself, like I had to learn this. It's like, yo, you have to be open minded. You can't hold on to what you know. Because what you know could be very much wrong, right?
I was open enough to fact check myself, even when I knew I was right. I still fact check,
which is a dope
for the
thing.
sake of the relationship.
And I think, but I think I don't know. Did you share those facts with him, or did you just do it for your own like peace of mind?
At that point, it probably
did. I share it with him, somewhat, but when I did, it was met with rage. And I realized I was with a covert narcissist.
Yeah, he was married to his thoughts and ideology. See, I'm a compare fact person.
So when he found out he was wrong, it was rage. When I found out I was wrong, I was appreciative for learning.
What was he? Was he black?
Good for you.
Was he black and white?
Black, white, American, Indian. I mean, African American, but he was Indian, white, black.
Indian, like indigenous, India.
He considered himself black. He was African American, but he was
Indian.
black, white, and
Yeah, that's usually the
one of those tribes.
It's too much different bloods going on in his brain. You know what I'm saying? I've been there.
DNA crazy.
No, but
Hear me? I've been there.
Narcissism is so prevalent. Narcissism is so prevalent. It's just getting worse, and it's one of the most psychologically damaging things.
Ego.
Is
I
it?
think it comes
Are
from
you just talking
trauma.
about women, or are you talking about men, or are you talking about all around?
It's a predominantly male.
What? Okay, this is fucking
No,
outrageous.
statistically speaking, it's
What
a
statistic? What's
predominantly
that?
male character disorder, medically speaking.
What's
I'm not
that?
even,
From what resource?
This is what I do, actually.
But what's that from what resource?
Let him look it up.
Because before we say
Most
statistically
men-
speaking, you better have that on hand. Because that's the stat that I actually know.
No, it's not rare.
The thing is this, right? There could be the problem that's happening is
No,
that
I don't use the term lightly because
no, I'm not saying your situation wasn't real. I'm not saying we're not discrediting your situation with your previous partner. We're saying that outside of you, well, not outside of you, but people in general are using the word narcissist so freely without knowing that it is a legit personality disorder that's actually more
what
rare
I'm saying is
than it is common.
the actual malignant narcissism, the actual psychological in the DSM, what constitute having NPD is very common. But that's only because they don't.
You would think it's
But
25%.
I challenge the system because we know for a fact that they never come forward and they're not studied, so it can't be included in the percentage.
No, but the thing is, and I get what you're saying. Everybody's not getting tested for narcissism, right?
No, none of them. Like almost none of them are.
Well,
That's
okay,
why it's
so-
1 to 2%,
But
statistically speaking.
But the thing
He's
is,
right because they don't get help. They don't admit it. They're not studied. It's not included in the statistics.
but there's
Both my parents are. I realized that. And that was through, and then the reason why I do the work I do and everything I've studied for the last 15 years, this is my personal work, not as a doctor or a clinician, but when you study what actually meets the criteria based on others' observations, because they don't actually go admit it or get help or tell the truth when they go, it can't be counted as a true statistic in medicine society.
So what would be, if you, going on your theory, right? What would be the leading cause of narcissism then?
It's not completely known. They do think it's abuse when you're a child, either neglect or any other type of abuse. It's not completely known whether it's there, like schizophrenia is there. They don't know for sure. The biggest hypothesis is that it is caused by abuse when they're young, or neglect specifically, or being spoiled to the point where they've developed this, that nobody else exists but me, and how dare anybody, so there's a lot of.
Do you know or can recite the characteristics of narcissist of a narcissist?
Absolutely. There's so many.
Yeah, so let's go through all of them.
All of them. There's
Because my
100.
thing is this, right? Because let's say if there's 100 and somebody possesses 40 of the 100, does that make them a narcissist?
Yeah, they're on the spectrum.
No. There's no fucking
They're on
spectrum.
the spectrum.
Oh
bro.
no, there's definitely a.
Now we have a spectrum of everything.
No,
You're a spectrum of
everybody-
black.
I think so.
Like, you're a spectrum.
Everybody has narcissistic traits, and I think that's what she was referring to. That, and I think that's what everybody was just
That
referring
was my
to.
question. If we
Yeah.
talk
Right.
men or
No.
women or both.
Everybody has narcissistic traits, and narcissistic traits can be healthy. It can be, self-care.
That-
I think that needs to be reworded. I
The
think
trauma and stuff
right.
is what an
Self
ego.
prioritizing is a big thing, but it's also.
Healthy.
But the problem is with the problem with
So I think having NPD disorder crosses the line when the person is specifically gaining pleasure from hurting other people. That is when you are a true NPD. When you seek to find romantic relationships or the people closest to you, when you seek to hurt them and find pleasure from that, and that's what keeps you going, and that's what your main focus in life is, that's when I think that's, if I had to sum it up in one thing, that would be it.
but I'm gonna just challenge it with a cliche quote.
Because they're also sociopaths.
Well,
She's doing it.
because we also
That's her
I
fault.
also want to share this and shout out to Erin and thank you Marie, but also shout out to Erin because she actually brought forth this information to us that either her peers or peers of a peer use our content and find our content very educational, and they actually have used it at USC. So shout out to USC. So we are very, I would say adamant on having the proper or the correct definitions or, whatever verbiage that we decide to, or ideologies that we decide to speak about. Now, we do also have our opinionated ones, but when we're talking about certain things that do have actual facts behind it, we try to marry that and stay true to that.
And we did differentiate. You said, what is my definition?
Yeah,
That's my
100%. So, but I wanted to challenge that because I also do think the reason that I challenge what you just said is because people do find pleasure in somebody else, I guess, hurting, right? From whether it be mental abuse or verbal abuse or, hell forbid, physical abuse. Not necessarily because they find a pleasure in it in that person, but they find a pleasure in it from that situation, possibly stemming from their own situations. So now,
Those are all intertwined.
yeah. So like my thing is, I believe that misery loves company, and that's a cliche quote, right? But it's a quote that's very real. And sometimes seeing pain can be the only thing that you relate to, right? My voice is cracked, but relate to. And for some people, I'm not saying all, but with that being said, I would challenge what you're
People
saying.
gravitate toward what they know, and therefore it's uncomfortably comfortable.
So are they traumatized or are they narcissists? I feel like there's a difference between somebody who has been experienced or exposed to different traumas and they seek out to create those traumas to live within that realm that they're comfortable living in versus somebody who is actually a narcissist.
The differentiation again between what you're saying and what I said is the person actually derives pleasure from hurting.
So you're talking about intentionality of.
And I think that that's not as
There are
common
toxic
as we're.
people who find themselves,
But that's the thing. So like, and my key thing.
and it's sad.
Well,
It's sad.
I honestly think, we use it to the point where it's like OD. Everybody doesn't have the disorder, but I do believe that there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of
toxic,
bullshit that we did not heal from,
dysfunctional.
and that we go into relationships and we have habits and we're conditioned. So now we're doing that same thing and repeating the same thing, and now it doesn't work for the good. So if we get therapy, a lot of people are scared of that word therapy, but you break your knee, you're gonna go see a doctor, right?
Depends.
know-
I'll probably go home.
Rico,
No.
cut the bullshit.
Well, narcissists, it works
But
for
that's the
like
thing, it works
everybody,
to a
but
certain
like their
extent.
partner. So like it works for them in business. It works for them with their friends. It works for them socially, but they're only abusing like literally one person sometimes, and that's their romantic partner. So they're like, I'm this great person, everybody loves me, but they're only destroying one partner at a time. And then whenever they break up with that person, they destroy that person socially, and everyone believes them because everyone thinks that they're a great person because they only destroy and abuse
It's
the
behind
person
closed
they're
doors.
in
It's not-
the romantic
it's not amongst
situation
everything.
with.
I've met only one
behind closed doors,
narcissist my
for real.
entire life.
You wouldn't know.
No,
because they're
I
great to
fucking know.
everybody, but the
No,
person
no, but
they're in the romantic relationship with,
but
or
the-
maybe their children or their parents.
But the
or
thing
whatever.
is, I'm not a person from the outside, just the outside looking in. I was a person that they were seeking advice. I was also a person that was watching the relationship, and I watch human behavior and interaction all goddamn day, right? And when I can see, I'm like, wow, this person is really messed up. But and I say that because the thing that I don't like is when we use the word narcissist for things that are curable, whether it be therapy, whether it be whatever the method may be.
No, we shouldn't overuse it. That's
with-
counterproductive.
Exactly, but then what happens is we have the word narcissist, which we already can state here that is a personality disorder that is most likely not able to be cured or altered or changed.
I don't.
It may not
as
be,
far as
right?
we know now, it's not. It's kind of like schizophrenia or something else. Like it's something that we have never been able to.
And you'll see
I don't
that.
say we. I'm not a doctor, but it's something that nobody has been able to cure.
But we have women and men who will have a relationship, right? And that relationship will be terrible. That relationship will be they may even feel like some of it some of the traits of their partner showcased or was a red flag for narcissist. But that's your experience with that person. And I think a lot of times we don't realize the triggers that we do to others and the response that we get and the person that we create or bring out, subconsciously or consciously, right? And if your experience is different with a person than the other person's, and they can say, like, you can sit here and say, okay, I dated this guy and he was a narcissist, but then he can have another woman that said he was a great man.
Well, it depends on if the person calling the person a narcissist actually know what the narcissist is.
Again, but we're saying that because we're talking about this because the word is used loosely, because they exude selfishness or they want to be, praised, or they might be manipulative, or even to a point where we're basically saying that they're overconfident, which is a subjective thing, right? Or lacks
But
empathy,
that still
which
makes
is
them
subjective.
have those traits. I could say you have narcissistic traits and you not be a narcissist.
Yeah, but like
But
the thing is, you're going too far.
personally draw the definition at someone who derives pleasure from hurting somebody else. I think that's when the telltale sign is pretty clear.
But he's talking about the people that are just calling. He's really saying the women that are calling men narcissists.
Yes.
Without any clinical diagnosis, and are just saying that because they don't like what they're doing to them and they're being selfish in their opinion, is what he's saying. Because you don't usually see men saying, oh man, my ex was a narcissist. You usually see that term being used from women to men.
Women are also
The biggest narcissist.
no,
let her finish.
no.
Men
Women
Men
are
ego.
Okay.
Women are
She's gonna
much
say it.
smaller percentage. It's kind of like my mom is an NPD. She's a covert NPD. My father's an overt NPD, and this is part of why I know so much about it. Not by choice, but women are few, even though my mother's one of them.
Could it be the same thing that they're not coming forward, just like the men aren't coming forward, so they're actually covert?
Another factor to your point,
Listen to him.
And women tend-
slightly to your point, when women are narcissistic, they're more so covert. They're not the overt. They're not like, look at me, I'm amazing. They're more so manipulative and martyrs.
No, they are. Look at me. It's just different.
it's
Manipulative.
harder to tell.
If it's manipulative and they're martyrs, wouldn't their partner know? Just like the partner.
Covert narcissism is harder to figure out.
So there could be
So
a high
when
percentage.
women are narcissistic, it's more most of the time in covert.
Okay, so
But there are narcissism is far less prevalent in women.
would the
It's
way that you guys...
upon.
I'm sorry.
Go
Let me
ahead.
just finish this one. With the way that women are most likely calling men narcissists when they don't get their way and other factors, would it be to our calling a woman crazy? Can that be comparable? In your opinion?
I can't really answer that question.
She's a woman.
No. I trust me.
Batting a
I
thousand
will
over
talk
here.
shit about women like I'll talk shit about
I'm not
men.
trying to talk shit about women. I'm
I'm
just trying to like
That's a good
make it
question.
even.
I'll make it
I don't agree with anybody throwing around the term loosely because I take it very seriously because I'm somebody who grew up with two parents that are and have brought myself out of the trenches of what that does to somebody, not only having one but two. So I take the definition very seriously. I don't play around with it. I don't call somebody that just because of certain traits. So for me, myself, I don't throw that around. I don't think anybody should. But I think that we should all learn what it really is because I think as in the youngest generations, it's more and more prevalent because we're having these children that are being told everything they do is right, even when it's wrong, and it's creating narcissism. Even so, now I think narcissism once was spawned out of abuse and neglect. I think now is being spawned out of complete just entitlement.
But I don't think that that's necessarily true because you can.
I think
But I
narcissism
don't-
is being
but we
spawned now,
can't
not out of abuse.
We're not going to
anymore.
sit here and say that entitlement is a personality disorder, Alan. Entitlement is not a personality disorder. It is something that can be corrected. It is something that might take more time.
I agree that
but
it
we are
can
not
create NPD, but that might be something that can actually be solved with
But what I'm
therapy.
saying is that again, we have to we can't take something that is concrete and mix it with something that is not, right? If you have a personality disorder like schizophrenia, right? I've never, and please correct me if I'm wrong.
NPD is almost like schizophrenia. They kind
Okay.
of create an alter ego.
I understand, right?
I mean, I'm not going to compare the two, but I'm saying that
It's
NPD
comparable.
kind of creates a disassociated persona.
I understand that. What I'm saying is there is no reversing, right? So I'm
The
not
true
gonna,
NPD from abuse, we haven't figured out a true.
okay, let me go back to it, right? There is no reversing, okay? And because there's no reversing, an entitled, spoiled kid can emulate some traits of a narcissist, but they are not diagnosed and won't be diagnosed a narcissist because this is something that can be at 25 versus 17, they could be a completely different person when they understand life. Maybe they go through therapy. Maybe they do, which is why I think therapy is more prevalent now than ever because it's not just this generation. It's been the last 3 generations that have been growing up with different types of obstacles and different types of upbringings that are bringing out different types of traumas and responses to it that can emulate other things that are real. Right? Those are real personality disorders. Those are concrete things. So we're not going to say something is more prevalent based on the upbringing. But what we can say is that when there are actual concrete, if there ever is, actual concrete kids that are growing up with this personality disorder, then we can start to make these types of statements. But we have to be careful because we're also validating somebody that can emulate something just because of their experience of being spoiled.
But we've never experienced a culture of people of entitlement like we do now. We are living in a society of a type of entitlement we have never experienced, I think, in humankind. And so we're going to encounter, I believe, in my personal opinion, personality disorders that have never existed before. And I think narcissistic personality disorder, to me, just my personal opinion, I think that can spawn out of just such severe entitlement that we're experiencing for the first time in humanity now that I maybe not, it's left to be seen. Maybe it can create MPD.
Speaking of touching,
Speaking of what?
speaking of touching,
Okay, this has gone crazy.
you've seen the latest video of
Yes.
a woman
Groping a man.
groping a man during a live stream feed.
Somebody's brother.
It was the guy from Power. I'm sorry, I don't.
Michael Rainey.
Michael Rainey. Thank you. What
has
are
a
your
dope
thoughts
podcast.
on that? Have you seen that? And do you think it's right that women just go out and grope men and don't think there's any repercussions because y'all just think you could do whatever you want? Go.
No, first of all, I don't think it's
Go.
a y'all thing. I think if you are doing something like that, you lack boundaries, you lack respect, self-respect. People's personal space is their personal space. There's no agreement that you and I are together and we share in those private experiences, then I shouldn't just be walking up to you grabbing your private part.
But even if we were in public, that still tastes.
I mean, some people a little raunchy.
I
Some
wouldn't go
people
that
like, you know what I mean? Like, you like what
No,
you
but
like.
I
I'm not going to
mean-
knock nobody for liking what you like. But if there's no,
public.
Yes.
yeah.
In
public.
public, I believe
Very
in,
public.
I believe in class, and I think what we are lacking in society today is that class should and exist, and we should bring that shit back.
I get it. I agree with
class is also a
No,
social
seriously.
construct.
Sir,
we go.
is it though?
It is 100%.
Class? You know, what's your definition of class?
I think class
What's your
is.
definition?
I think class is a behavioral that is a behavior that has been emulated by people of power. I don't think that class is. I'm not saying there are some things that are classless. Like I don't believe that walking around nude is a classy thing, right? But I do think because when we're talking about class, we're talking about what the real class is, right? Like for example, there's a guy on Instagram and he's a rich European kid and he does comedy skits and he was shaming a man because he said, you have new money, I have old money, you have a Richard Mille, and I have a Rolex, right? Now, he's talking about class here, right? That's a direct correlation on class, saying that you don't have old money and you don't know what the class is of the lineage, the previous lineage, or the previous generations.
No.
100%.
Can I give you my definition?
Your definition.
You don't have to have a dime to your name to have class. Class is literally just the ability to have self-respect, respect others, and make those around you comfortable. That's it, and we've all forgotten that.
But I do think so. And from a vague
And that's
standpoint,
very broad. I mean, that
that's what I say. It's
that
too
creates
vague.
behavior that makes other people
It's so vague
comfortable.
that you
That
can't.
creates behavior that respects yourself, that respects others.
No, it's the behavior
it's just a
around
behavior.
white European
What?
winners.
What?
Class.
No.
Okay.
Oh my
I want somebody
God.
to
you
tell
just
me-
made class a thing of color?
I made class of a thing of the elites.
No, I'm talking about the behavior of class.
No.
Not
You're
classist systems.
You're talking about
Behaving with class.
poetic ideology. I'm
No.
talking about the reality. The reality is how I hold the fork and how I eat at a restaurant came from whom?
No, I'm not even talking about that.
Moors.
Well, the Moors were black, so if it did come from them, then we created it.
I'm just telling you.
Shit,
what
to
I
them.
know.
You know what?
Sorry. Sometimes.
But and that's great
Give
because
yourself some more credit.
I'm learning. See, but that to me,
That's classless.
Classless.
But why?
Because she's
But-
making.
but-
they're
You should
making
know
people
better.
Why?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's making people uncomfortable.
a
Agreed.
tradition
Making
for
people
women, though.
uncomfortable.
Thank you.
That's
Like-
to y'all. That would be classless to y'all. So I think class is subjective.
No,
That's
it's
what I'm
not
trying to say.
subjective.
No,
class
it,
is
We don't-
tradition,
as men, we
bro.
don't care about the white dress. That's y'all thing. That's y'all tradition. That's y'all.
This
as
is
your partner,
Making
you care
people
about her feelings,
comfortable.
right? As your wife's partner, you care about her feelings.
So that'd be her. That would be
So
her definition. of class.
tradition-wise,
Why are we doing tradition?
But do you love?
But that's what class
of
is.
the wedding. We talking about wedding tradition.
Class is tradition.
That's okay.
When are we gonna
Class isn't tradition.
Okay, so if class is not tradition, it had to be passed down, right? So if I say to you,
Class is the
No,
act
to
of
class is the
treating
behavior.
people with respect
But
and
what-
treating
what-
It's like
yourself
having
with
self-
respect.
wait, listen, ladies, I would love to agree, but I cannot agree because
So one word could have different
I
meanings.
can't agree because one word could have different meaning over 3 to 10 to 20 generations.
Subject.
So it becomes a subjective, vague statement that holds no factual terms.
What she means in that, again, you stay stuck.
And that
But that's what I
changes
said.
every generation.
And that's
Or
what he's
not
talking
really,
about, social class.
which is a
With the
tradition.
bringing in white people. He's talking about social class right there. He's talking about social. We're talking about having a self-respect for you and others. Having a sense of class. Integrity. Yes, a synonym would be integrity. Well, class is just a synonym.
But
That's what she means, integrity.
But integrity could
Class,
be
integrity is part of class.
But the thing again,
What she's saying is basically walk in there not like a sexy red and instead have some class and some self-respect about you. You know what I mean? Are you gonna bring sexy red to a place where you're trying to go see your moms?
so now
No. Would that be somebody you hang out with to have a weekend of fun out in Mexico, right?
Yeah,
She-
exactly.
Okay, so let me paint this picture. If the entire world, and I hate to use her as an example, I'm saying now, from today on, for the next 200 years, y'all listening?
We heard you.
From today on, for the next 200 years, every woman is a sexy red. That is your new norm. Now, you're going to tell me at 250 years, if you are not acting like sexy red, that is not class. That is the class that they have been, that they have adopted to. This is the class that we are referring
That's
to.
socially.
No, it's
Still
not.
going back to a social.
It's always
to have
social.
class, to have integrity, to have self-respect. That's what she means. To walk up to somebody and grab their private part is no self-respect. You have no class. You have no respect for the people around you. You're making
and
people
for
very
yourself
uncomfortable.
and for that man.
That is what she's talking
You
about.
have no class.
And that's
So,
regardless
you have
if you're in a relationship with
no
that
class,
person or not.
yes.
That's not classy.
You're saying you have no class for this time.
You have
I
no
think
class, no
You have,
self-respect.
wait, time out. You have no class for this time.
No time. Any time is not okay.
But
For
the-
whether I'm at church, whether I'm on the beach.
no.
Private
You're not.
part in public.
You guys are not
in
understanding
any
what I'm saying.
situation,
No
in
class
any
for this time
is
of
not classy.
this
Sorry.
time of life.
I'm just
No, because what Sexy Red does, regardless if it's this time of life, is not classy. Whether it's okay for her demographic of people who follow her, it is not classy.
So if I say that 400 years ago everybody was just naked walking around, and then we go ahead and we say that okay, she's wearing a see-through shirt, she's not classy, right? So but 400 years ago it was normal.
We're not
400 years ago she was wearing too much.
See-through shirt and grabbing someone's private is going. That's a whole tangent,
listen
bro.
To understand.
I don't think
and not to
even when
respond.
Adam and Eve, if that was ever a thing, were walking around naked, grabbing their private parts in public. I don't think
That's
was
what we're
classy
talking
then
about,
or
grabbing
now.
a private part, not showing the
There are certain
nipple.
things that are just
We can say what we don't
timeless.
think, and I'm not going to argue about what we think.
That's what I was talking about. Body.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
just wondering
Yeah.
if you ladies have ever witnessed another woman grope or sexually assault a man.
I've never
never
witnessed.
witnessed
I've
it,
never
but I've heard
witnessed
stories.
it.
You've never
And I don't
witnessed
think it's
it?
okay.
I've actually never
But
witnessed
you've heard
it.
stories from women or men.
Both.
Wait, what?
Both. Like, for
A woman
example,
told you, yeah, I grabbed his dick.
well, yeah, there was a
I've
situation
heard
where
very vague, loose stories of men maybe talking about it.
from both. Like, I've been in situations where I've heard a girl talk about how she just randomly, and it was somebody she knew, but it was around other individuals, and she, just touched his private part. The guy was with it, honestly, and I think that's the problem too.
Do you think the guy had a choice to not be with it?
Yeah, he has a choice.
No,
it's
he
all,
does
it's all
not.
about speaking up. And I think that's the thing. Society puts this stigma to where a man's supposed to accept it. And if he doesn't, now he's all these type of gays and he's not, accepted. But in reality, it's about self-respect. You're allowing someone to disrespect you by going into your private territory. Regardless if you want to be frisky or not, it's not the time or place. You probably didn't know her. And regardless if she came into you strong or not, there's a way to go about liking each other. It's called consent. Someone just comes into your private. You could have been there with your child, not thinking in a sexual moment. She comes and grabs you. That thing has a mind of its own. Now you all hard in front of everybody. Why? Because somebody decided because you were sexy and I have the authority to go and touch you because I want to and I can.
God, mine has a
You should
mind
like
of its
it?
own.
No, it's not okay. And I think that's where the boundary should be drawn. It's self-respect. You should have it for yourself. You should set that boundaries for others to respect you. And if they're not, then you're opening the door to be disrespected every single time, embarrassed and all of that.
So do you think in this situation he should press charges?
I mean, that's up to the person if you want to press charges.
What
do you
the
think?
fuck is going on?
Me, I'm not that. I don't know how he felt. If he wants to take it that far, some people take it to the extreme and feel like they was violated. And I'm gonna take it to the
If
court.
I grab the woman's,
I
if
feel
I grab the
like-
woman's
I got it.
vagina,
I got it.
I
I feel like where he's going
But-
with that, like the dichotomy between
At the end of the
male
day,
and
it was
female.
wrong what she did.
Yes.
Now it is up to the
Is that
individual.
where we're going?
It is
Let you
always
know in a
up to the
second.
individual's choice to want to take it to take actions against that person. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It was wrong.
Yeah.
That situation, it was on camera, it was random. I see the bullshit. It's up to him to want to take it there. If he felt disrespected enough to be like, I don't feel safe. You caused me to I felt violated. I'm going to press charges. He has the right to do that. Why? Because it was wrong. Now, I wasn't there. I can't say he should press charges. I'm not going to say that.
You ready?
But if he had if he wanted to, he
Give
should.
you what you want. So if you saw that it was a woman in his place, would you have said something and spoke up about it?
I would have said the same. It's still wrong. It's still wrong. Now, if she wants to go and press charges, yes, she has the right to do that because she was violated. But it's wrong whether a woman did it or a man did it. It is wrong. That is that person's private part, and they should be. It's consent. Consent. Whether it felt good or not, you didn't have the right to do that. That boy was very uncomfortable. He was like, didn't know what to do. Knew he was being recorded. Try to cover it up because he's probably thinking society. I don't want nobody to think that I don't like women, but she's touching me. But he didn't want to be touched. He didn't feel comfortable in that moment. So we supposed to sit there and say, oh, it's okay because it was a girl? no, it's not okay.
Do you think there's any other moments in a man's life where he can't speak up?
I think, yeah, there's several places, but I think factors play into that. I think there's always a reason to speak up. You should always use your voice. You should always be using your throat chakra. That's what God gave to us to speak. Literally, use your voice, speak. No means no, and no is a full sentence. If you're uncomfortable, speak up. You can't allow people to read your mind. If what someone's doing doesn't feel safe, speak up.
Why are you looking at me?
Welcome to 8 at the table.
We walk around. We just have this ideology, and
Who's we? Because you like to collectively put everything into
So
one.
much.
I'm
You
If
do
it's
like
your
to
thoughts,
collectively
you can
put
just speak
things,
on just
yes.
your thoughts.
I just want to speak without being interrupted. That's all.
That's how I felt, but you interrupt every time. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So
Go ahead, brother. Come on, Reeks.
all right, ma'am. So what I would say is we walk around with these ideologies, and the ideologies are just—they're like at this point to me, it became like
We can agree to
foolish
disagree.
as fuck.
We're having a conversation for a reason. We can agree to disagree.
We're not if I don't get
That's
to
your
speak.
opinion, though.
If I don't get to speak, it's not a
This whole
conversation.
time, watch the
It
tape.
becomes a monologue, not a dialogue. What I would say is my issue with the whole thing is that we sit here and we try to say that men don't fear being ridiculed, not only by women, but by men, right? We're always targeted by both sexes. And the reason why I say this is because why did it have to go on the Shade Room and Spiritual Word and all these different big platforms for it to be addressed, right? He didn't address it when it happened.
He addressed it. His face,
No. He addressed it after it happened.
His face
Okay,
in the video showed that he was
No,
uncomfortable.
his face in the video that you've seen, but he did not go to anybody at that point, at that part. He did not say, "Hey, this woman has touched me." You know, she has
you
sexually.
have moments
She had, and he worded it this way: she had sexually assaulted me. He never said that prior to any law enforcement. He never said that prior to anybody who would make an actual, who would create an actual, I guess, public or a known issue of this. It wasn't until after it became public.
After he processed it, right?
No. Fuck process. After it
That's
became
the thing. You have a stance. You have
after it came public, then after he addressed it. So my issue that I have with this is that we sit here and we think that like men aren't ridiculed by both sexes to a point where he feels like, yo, listen, I mean, to be honest, I can live with it, right? Maybe I can or maybe I can't, but I can live with it enough to not address this and just put this and sweep this under the rug and walk on. But because we got to this point where everything has to be publicized and then everything has to be taken into consideration that if I allow this to go, that means I'm silencing the next man or woman, right? If I don't publicly say, you know, I was uncomfortable and I was sexually assaulted, no woman should touch me. If I don't go out on a limb and say that after everybody else knows,
But I think it was right for him to do that. His face
It was
in the
too
time
late.
out. It doesn't.
It was too
no, it's
late.
never too late. That's like saying what Cassie did. It was too late.
I'm not-
Can I talk now?
No, because
I just want to respond to what
because
you
you're
said.
not responding to what I'm saying. You're responding to what you thought you heard.
No, I'm responding to exactly what you're saying. You're saying that it's a problem now that he only spoke about it because everybody brought attention to it. But if we actually look at the original video, that uncomfortableness was shown then. He may not have had the chance. Time out. Can I finish talking?
I didn't say
In
that.
his face, he showed that it was not okay. He was like, yo, what the f is going on? Then there's time to process it. That processing came along with society, with everyone else coming in and saying, what the fuck is going on? That is not okay, right? And it is okay. Now, him speaking on it, and that's where that question was good. Pressing charges. He may not want to go to full extent to press charges, but was it wrong? Should he speak up and talk on that situation? Because yes, that same situation could be happening to so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. And they're all afraid to speak up on it. And they don't know how to get out of that situation. But because now that was on camera and society has said, look, there's a problem. Address it. We hold them accountable and we stick with that.
To what point do you hold him accountable? Because
That girl shouldn't have touched him. That's holding her accountable.
I'll let you talk. At
You
what
also
point?
asked me a question and I answered
No,
it.
I didn't ask you. It was rhetorical.
You said to what part?
So it was a rhetorical question.
All right.
So to what point do you address it? Because if you address it and do nothing, what was the purpose? So now my thing is this, right? We sit here and we say, okay, he had to address it after he had time to process it. First of all, men don't think like women. Women might take a longer time. He processed it right there in that situation. And he said, I don't want this. I don't like this. Now he had to make a decision. Do I want to bring this to the public? Maybe not, because if I do bring it to the public, I'm going to be forced to press sexual assault charges on this woman because it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I don't feel that bothered by it. So I'm going to just leave it be. This is just a thought I'm saying. He's not saying that he actually had this thought.
But
that's what I'm saying.
But
That is your opinion and your
But
feelings.
now that it gets public, he still brings it up and he addresses it, right? Now, if he was that uncomfortable, if he was that uncomfortable, the question is, should he press charges? The answer is yes. Now, if he doesn't press charges, what would the reason be?
You gotta speak first of all. The situation.
But if I'm uncomfortable, if somebody touching my genitals,
Again, you don't.
why would I not press charges?
Because some people don't want to bring it to the court system. Some people just don't want to bring it to the court system.
She's not gonna say
I'm not
what
saying that does not negate the fact that it's wrong. Just because you bring something to the court charge, it doesn't mean that it negates the fact that it's wrong. And him speaking up on the fact and letting it know that, yes, I was technically sexually assaulted. Yes. You hold people accountable. That girl was wrong.
So now the next little boy,
It's not about
the next guy who then gets sexually groped, sexually assaulted, right? He now has nobody to actually show him the way of actually pressing charges because the public figure who was on
the public figures to show them how to press charges. But was it wrong? Yes. So what he know is wrong? Yes.
A public figure on the public platforms did not press charges on a woman who sexually assaulted him, which is creating subconsciously that it is okay to be publicly sexually assaulted.
That's what you got from it. That's your perspective you took from it. That is not what is being told. If you want to go forth, it was wrong. The story is what she did was wrong.
And then
point blank, period.
So what repercussions does she face?
That is what will bring to her, according to his actions and how far he goes with pressing charges or whatever. She is publicly repercussion. That's embarrassing.
That's not enough.
It's not enough. It honestly is not enough because it was wrong what she did. But it is up to the individual who was abused. It's up to the victim to take those charges.
There's a reason for that because
life coach.
Men are in a dominant position. I'm 5'1", barely 2, whatever. You guys 6 foot tall. If you want to do something to me, you're going to do it to me. If I want to do something to you, it's your fucking choice.
I got a question for you. So
I'm not in a position of dominance. That's what makes it so different. I'm serious. Just like if I work for somebody and my boss is coming on to me, that's why my boss is in trouble, not me. That's why if I'm an employee coming on to my boss, I'm not going to get in trouble because I'm not in a position of dominance. So if when a man comes on to a woman, he's not scared.
She is lost.
He's turned on.
So, okay. Whoa.
Yeah, I do.
I
actually do.
Yes, I would like to just go a little bit further.
And even if he doesn't like it, he's not traumatized by it.
If you don't press charges, that ideology lives.
I got you.
What?
So what you're saying is he liked it.
I'm not saying
he was turned on.
I'm not saying he liked it.
Okay, you will
say he was turned on. What I'm saying is when men are touched by women or when assaults quote unquote happen from women to men, it's not the same thing as when a man does it to a woman because women are never in the position of power physically.
This sounds crazy.
I don't agree.
I know, please let me.
I'm not saying nothing.
So
physically, I'm not saying that they don't like it. I'm not saying that they're like, this was horrible. I'm not. None of that. I'm not saying that it was okay. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is it is a very different experience when it happens to a woman than when it happens to a man.
You've been a man before? No, let me before.
In my past life, yes.
In your past life, you've been a man. So what you're saying is sexual assault isn't sexual assault.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, but it's different for a man than it is for a woman.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
So if you wholeheartedly believe that, are you the type of female that will get up in a man's face and push his buttons to the point where
never.
He will not put his
I
hands
would
on you because
never.
he's more dominant?
I would never do that.
You're not.
No, I would never do that. Ever, never.
But if you're not, you're saying sexual assault is different.
I'm just saying it's a different situation because a man is in position of dominance a woman.
A man is always in a position of dominance.
Sometimes the
physically.
woman is in a position of dominance.
I want to please.
I mean, that's the exception, though.
No, I would like to talk about the exception over here.
But
No, not even exception. The norm that's we're facing.
I'm talking about the norm. We could always talk about a rare exception, but that's
let's talk about the
a
norm
pointless.
Let's
kind
talk
of like
about the
a
norm
pointless
of women thinking that
conversation to
it's
talk about an
okay
exception.
to get into a man's face to provoke him because
That's a whole. Now we're going into a different conversation. Are we
Now we're going
talking
into a
about the
conversation.
sexual
It's the
assault, or are we
same-
talking about?
we're talking about you guys thinking that it's okay to do what you want when you want to do it because
no,
we are more
I
dominant.
didn't say that.
You just talked about sexual assault.
No, I was just talking about that
Literally.
one instance.
No.
That instance doesn't bleed into other instances in your life as a woman, thinking that you can
Well,
get
a
away with
woman
anything?
cannot. A man.
What? First of all, that's not
That's not
How
true.
can a woman placid
technically.
man?
First of all, there's been many cases that women have. When
Okay, now we're talking about the extreme exception again.
no, we're not talking about the extreme
this-
exception.
it's
So it has
possible.
happened, though. The extreme exception has
happens.
happened.
Like, for example, this
If we
exact
want to talk
situation. That
about
girl
some
groping
extreme
and
exception
grabbing
where
his
some
penis
girl's 6 feet
was
tall and some
molestation.
dude's
You don't have to
5
be
foot
6 feet tall.
four.
Why do you have to be bigger?
Because men like it, though.
Because that's
There's a
whole
lot of men
point
that
of
are the
male
same
and
size as
female
you.
Is the dominance and the physical factors
face,
and all
my
of
energy.
that.
I mean, my thing is this. I think it has to be understood. Two things have to be understood. One is that just because the size of somebody does not make them more dominant.
Yes, it does.
The size of there's men that are 6'5" and there's men that are 5'5", and the one that are 5'5" are more dominant than the men that are 6'5".
No.
Again,
When?
what?
Like what planet?
Do you watch the NFL?
What planet does a 5'5" dude overcome a 6'5" dude?
If you watch NFL,
MMA.
yeah, and if you watch boxing, if you watch,
Okay,
it doesn't
we're-
matter. Look.
I mean, we're
I'm not
going
even gonna
into
inter-
a ridiculous realm.
We're
I'm talking
not.
about
You're-
like just
you're
the
not
norm.
go-
This realm
I'm
was
talking
the
about just the
sexual
norm.
assault not
No.
being the same.
Yes,
It's
Sexual
That's
assault
what we
is
go with.
a
sexual assault.
from a woman to a man is not the same.
It is the same.
If a woman slaps a dude and a dude slaps a woman,
That's
it's
physical.
not
That's
the
Sexual
same.
assault. That's physical.
It's still physical.
No.
Sexual
Sexual.
assault's
I'm talking
physical.
about sexually assaulting the private part, sex.
Mhm.
inappropriate touching, groping, grabbing.
Yes.
Any
Molestation.
inappropriate touching, any appropriate physical
No.
touching, assault, any appropriate.
No,
inappro-
sexually. Sexual assault is sexual
I don't really
assault. A
differentiate.
female can sexually assault a
That
man.
might be the issue. Is that there's and I'm not saying this to single you out because you're not by yourself.
Physical assault, whether it's sexual or physical, is assault, and I think it's different coming from a male to a female.
So you think
It's-
it's okay?
No, I never said it's okay. I just said it's very different.
But a different. What does your different mean? Does your different mean that one is
I'm
lesser than the
5'1",
other?
115 pounds,
No, my question
and
is
there's
very
nothing
simple.
I can do about it if that man wants to harm me.
If he just
But
touches your ass.
But if I want to do something to him, he's like, "Pfft, get out of here," and pushes me out of the way, and it's over.
No, it's not over.
very
It's
different.
called a case because now in defending himself.
No, we're talking about.
is norm.
We're talking
I'm
about.
talking about the norm.
No, that is norm.
because we can talk.
If someone has, if a woman wants to break down a man sexually, and she knows that he's physically stronger, why don't let me spike his drink? Now he cannot
well, of
physically,
course, there's like all
but
sorts.
but
of
that means she
different
can
kind of
still sexually
warfare.
assault him, and it's still the
Right.
same. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Sexual assault is
And
sexual
I'm not
assault.
disagreeing with you because that's like the minority.
No,
We're
it's
talking about,
not.
like
The-
regular assault is.
Well, you're talking
A
about.
woman can't really do that. Between a man and woman, a woman can't do that to a man. What you're saying is kind of like
No, what I'm saying
Cheryl,
is
what-
it can happen, and
it can, but
and
it's,
it does
it's like
happen a lot
1% of
often.
the case.
Cheryl, let me.
it happens,
Well,
and it's
first-
wrong, girl.
Yo, listen, Cheryl.
What are the cases of men not coming forward because no one's going to
Bring it
believe
up.
them? Because
That's
What are
cool.
the statistics?
Look, Google that. We'll touch on that in a second. What we're gonna talk about is the topic of conversation of sexual assault, which anybody's capable of, and it doesn't matter how big or small you are. If I'm walking in a workplace and a woman comes and grabs my dick, that's an issue, especially if she's not my woman, and it makes it even worse. It makes it even worse if it's publicized and it's recorded. Right? So now for you to sit here and say, okay, listen, it is not that big of a deal. That is the issue that men have.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
you said it's not equal.
I didn't
It was
say
not
it's
equal.
Not that big of a
You said
deal.
it wasn't equal.
It wasn't.
equal.
You said, well, I'll tell you exactly what you said. You said it's not the same because men get turned on. right? This is exactly what
No, and because men are dominant.
and because men are
It's not
dominant.
the same.
But-
It's not the
But
same
wait,
fear.
but
That part.
but the thing is this: that does not mean fear and uncomfort don't have to be synonymous when it comes to sexual assault. And we can't sit here and say that it is not the same. And in fact, a lot of women do believe it is not the same, which is why they feel like it's okay to do it, which is why they feel like there's no repercussions when they do it. Nowadays, I would say when I was growing up, maybe in high school, grabbing a girl's ass, we didn't fear repercussions. But at that same exact time, we started watching if you sent the girl's nude out, you was going to jail. We're talking about 15-year-olds, right? This is when iPhones really started, I'm not iPhones, but smartphones really started getting popping. Then it got to a point where if you touched a girl or said certain things to a girl, you were getting a case thrown at you. So now, and this is what, 15 years ago. So now when we're sitting here, we're saying, listen, there's so many different forms. And at the end of the day, if you do something sexually that makes somebody uncomfortable, you are to be held liable of the repercussions that come forth. You can't think as a woman, it's not the same. You can't think as a woman, I could touch this man's ass, but then don't want a man to touch yours.
I never said it was right, but it is not the same.
When did men, so number 5 I have is, when did men become afraid of women? Rome, would you like to go?
Oh,
That's fun.
all my life I had to fight.
Yo.
This table.
Yo, do you? And I want to we'll talk about something like. The thing is this, right? A lot of men, and we.
Y'all get away with murder.
But
every day.
Alan, we got to be real. We speak about this all the time in a different way, but we don't touch on the cons of this, right? A lot of women want the same percentile of men, right? And if we put a number on it and just said 30% of men are the attractive, desirable men, these
5%.
What they're saying. Okay,
Maybe
Just a
one.
number. Get
God.
make his point.
damn, bro. But if we just say this number of men, we don't actually say what these men encounter when they're desired by all the women,
Preach,
right? So when
preach.
I'm that attractive dude and every girl wants to touch me, I'm that attractive dude where every girl wants to text me, I'm that attractive dude where every girl wants to screenshot a conversation with me, I'm that person that I have
Welcome to womanhood.
But what I'm saying is,
That's
what
your
I'm
answer.
what I'm trying to
Yes,
say is, at the end of the day,
That's my answer.
at the end of the day, the things that you think are okay are only okay to the men who are undesirable, right? And when you understand that, then you'll understand that, listen, I can't do the things that I do as a woman to a man because it is not right to the men who are desirable. I will not care if no woman ever touched if I've been waiting for a woman to touch my dick if I was an undesirable man.
So now we're having a 1 to 3% conversation.
Okay.
I just wanted
3% of men?
to piggyback
Yo.
on what you were
1 to
saying.
5. One.
Listen, if 10% can make some money, I'm going to go ahead and say 25 because 15% don't need money because they just look good and they can just.
I don't do that.
No, but that's the thing. What you're worth to yourself and your they should coincide. You should know your value and be confident in that. Like you shouldn't be oblivious to what you really are.
You ever got a gift you didn't
But you
want?
can't compare someone who's doing a kind gesture for you and who actually knows how to cook a meal on the stove to someone who has the talent
so
and the
she's
culinary art skills behind them.
But somebody like Rome, right? Rome is not an actual chef by like his occupation, but he's somebody who can cook very well,
Right.
Easy.
right? So now he can cook
Crazy,
very well.
actually.
Now if
He's
I
like
just
crazy,
cook,
actually.
right? My chicken breast might not be the same as his chicken breast.
Right.
And neither of us, that's not our professions. But if you experience my chicken breast and you experience his chicken breast, you're like, yours is survival.
I like
Mine
that.
is fine dining.
You
Or
cook
his is fine dining.
survival
You know what I'm
food.
saying?
Gotcha.
That's crazy. I want you to go outside more.
I go outside a lot.
Not
No, I'm good with how much I go outside. Maybe I go outside the right places
no. The
Places?
thing is,
because that doesn't happen in my world.
well, I'll tell you one thing.
None of the women I know do things
Women
like that.
women of power. I'm gonna say like monetary
I have
power.
plenty of women with power in my circle, and they would never behave that way
It comes down to
In front of
morals
you.
and values. It really does.
in front of anyone ever.
That's what I was saying earlier. Even though
Thank
the
you.
guy may have felt
Thank
in the
you.
moment like, I'm a G,
woman
I'm
who's
accepted.
used to
It's not.
things
He didn't
is
feel like
not
that, though.
going
I know
to
he
do
didn't
that.
because his face showed it.
She's not.
But him, if he didn't went as far as what is it called, pressing charges, he still caused attention to it. He still brought awareness to it, so that someone who is not aware at all knows that if it does happen to them, it is not okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it. See, the thing is this: when you are when you bring it public, right, and you don't.
I mean, it was already public. The video.
I'm saying, well, when something happens public with somebody of a higher status, and there's no real solution.
Repercussions. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no real. I want to see even say repercussions, but yes, but the solution was not provided. So another kid can sit here and be like, I'm so much far less important than this man. I'm so much more less important than this man.
I just don't think boys
right?
think
That
like
I if I was uncomfortable,
I
would
boys
just
were like,
I would just
wish
eat
somebody
it.
would grab my dick.
But if the important people start doing it, look at what happened with and I hate to bring it up, but look at what happened with Diddy. It took one person, and then 5 more came. Right? So what happens is once somebody can actually lead by example, then you can actually correct certain things that are not right. Now, by him not pressing charges, if he does not, is going to possibly program or show that this action can be done and there's not a repercussion besides being publicly embarrassed.
Actually causing awareness to it and holding her
Awareness
accountable.
is not enough.
It's not. In some cases, it's not enough, but it is something. It's the bare minimum. It is something. And I think, and him just not acknowledging it at all would have been the true issue. Because then now she's not being held accountable for what she did. But him
wasn't.
naturally saying that I was sexually assaulted. Whether he did anything after that, that's on him. But he made it clear, like, that is not okay. That is sexually assault. Someone grabbing your private part is not okay.
It's the fact that it's an everyday thing, and then we have other women that will say she's wrong, but if you press charges, it's on you. But the same woman.
No, let's not make it a women thing. It's society, and men are accepting to it. Y'all just said that it's okay that a woman could.
No,
I'm not
she
saying
said that.
you. I'm saying even you.
So, but what I'm trying to say is,
y'all be wilding, trying to put $1 between a girl's butt cheeks.
but
like,
the thing, what? All
y'all
right.
want a free
That's a whole
smell.
different. Anyway,
Y'all want a free smell.
Free smell.
Yeah, y'all niggas is nasty.
Yo, what?
I heard the stories. I'll be like, what? You try to what? I don't. I like girls, but no.
You don't like strippers?
No.
Do you like BBLs?
No. Give me a natural body all day.
But
Give me
some
somebody
BBLs
who
look
really
good, though.
work out. I'm not knocking that BBLs look good. Some people do really look good. The work is nice. Great to the doctor. But why mess up what God gave you? Eat healthy. Take care of your body. You won't have to go get all that injections up in you and get cut. That healing process, you was naturally not even in the gym in the first place. Now you're going to get chopped up and then go back to your old eating habits. That's why you look like you... because it's not your real lifestyle. And I get it. Everybody want to, entice and, be attractive to the man because men like big asses and this. But where's the natural so you can feel confident about yourself? Are you really confident with that BBL?